All right, so staying with the trade deadline really quickly, Timo Meyer, Patrick Kane have been names that have been circulating around for what seems like a while now. Who do you feel like they have their sights on? And, maybe you're the GM, who are you going after?
Well, I think if we're going to start, we got to start with Patty Kane. Um, I think that the fact that, when there's smoke, there's got to be fire. And I feel like there's been smoke around the Rangers Kane connection for years now. Not, no, we're not just talking like it just came up. Like we've been talking about this for years now. So I have no doubt that the Rangers are interested and have thought about it and have put scenarios in their head. Um, of how they would bring Patrick Kane to New York. I've talked to Artemi Panarin. I know that he would love for Patrick Kane to come to New York. So I think that all of that is being taken under consideration. I do think that it's a possibility. And I do think that, I mean, you can make an argument that, he's not what they need, but I mean, I think that if you reunite him with Artemi Panarin and the connection that they had and the chemistry that they had, I mean, I think that's a pretty solid bet that any team would be willing to make. You never know. I mean, it's still Patrick Kane. You never know that Artemi could unlock him in some way. So I do think that that's a possibility. Obviously, a lot would have to happen, including Chicago retaining 50% of the salary and things like that. And it probably would be a heavy price, which included a top, young talent on the team that is currently playing. So that would be a big decision the Rangers had to make. Um, and I guess they would have to decide which route they want to take to make that happen. Timo Meyer, I don't see how the numbers work. I don't think that's a just because of the Rangers cap situation, all the players that they need to pay. Um, I don't see I don't see how the numbers work out. It doesn't really make sense. And I know that that's been a widely reported name, but if we're going logistically speaking, I think anybody that, could punch some numbers into a calculator would see that that probably doesn't fit. So that's what I'd have to say about those two guys.
Well, back to Kane, you're right. It seems like it's been forever that name's been linked to New York, and it seems too obvious for it not to happen. But with his play on the ice this year, it's been very widely noted as, a drop off is what it's been. Has that kind of been a red flag from the Rangers at all? Or are they just hoping, he gets to play with Panarin again and it's going to light a spark?
I think anybody that's watching Chicago's season unfold, it's tough to have motivation to to play for what's going on over there. It's it's do you want to say teams are tanking? I don't know if I believe that, but it's not a great season over there. It's tough to get up 4 games night after night when you're in the position that you are. So I would think that it was more because of that rather than his actual, talent and skill level. Not saying that he's not going out and playing his hardest every night. I don't know that, but I think that just thinking of the situation over there, and that he probably knows he's on his way out, um, subconsciously that affects the way that you're competing on the ice night after night. Getting up for an NHL game on a regular basis by itself is a difficult task. So with all of that sort of outside factors playing into it as well, I would attribute it more to that rather than it being a decline in his play.
We talked about Meyer. We talked about Kane. We spoke with Mike Rupp a couple weeks ago, and he mentioned the name Vladimir Tarasenko. Does that hold any weight really in the organization, or is that kind of a pipe dream?
Well, it's definitely a name, that's for sure. And I think that one of their biggest needs is a right winger who can chip in offensively, but also somebody who's kind of the Trocheck mold, I think, just a little bit more of a bigger presence, a little maybe more physical. Because I still think even with Trocheck up in the top six, they could use a little bit more of a different look than all the high skilled players that they have in their lineup. And that's been a recurring trend, I guess, for the Rangers in most recent years, just having so many high skilled players. So I think they do need a little bit more of a grinding kind of power forward look on the right side. And they're just overflowing in left wingers right now. And it hasn't really worked out with Lafreniere switching to the right or Kreider. So they need right wingers. They need right wingers really badly. I've talked about it with Larry a bunch that we've been thinking that Will Cooley, as soon as he came into the organization, should have been switched to the right side. Because if the player is willing and able, why not start building a rapport on that side? Because that is what the organization needs. So I definitely think a right winger is at the top of the list. And you could argue that maybe they'll even go after two forwards now because they just locked in Ben Harper on the left there for defense, which is that the long-term option? Probably not. They probably do want a veteran D there, which they keep striking out on who they get there. So I think that that's still a want and a need. But with how pleased they are with Ben Harper, which is very, very apparent both from Gallant and management, that's who they think is the right person for the job right now.